Welcome to the hktpodcast, endorsed by @odub_23. Add me, tag me, follow me, please follow me.
What is going on, folks? Welcome back to a very special episode of the Hook It Podcast. This is episode number 46. Before we drop the gate on this one, I want to say, as usual, a massive thank you to everyone who listens. Thanks for coming back and checking out another episode. If you're a new listener, then welcome. The last episode we did with Ryan Nyquist was the first episode which also went onto Spotify, and the response has been amazing. It seems like it's opened it up to a bunch of new people, so yeah, thank you. If you are a new listener and you haven't already, please, if you are enjoying these episodes or this episode, head to iTunes, leave us a little review, make it 5 stars if you can. Why not? Keep the scene alive. And that's it. So, this is a special episode, as I said before. Deathgrip was recently added to Netflix globally, and what better way to celebrate that than to grab some of the cast and crew, have a chat, hear about their experiences, some of the challenges they face, some funny stories, some nicknames come out of the woodwork, and a bunch of other stuff too. I mean, this movie is in approximately 100 plus million people's homes. How rad is that? So, let's welcome to the podcast Ollie Wilkins, Clay Porter, Chris Seeger, and Brendan Fairclough. Let's rock and roll. All right, folks, here we are with our opening act of the evening. Ollie Wilkins, one part of the machine which made Deathgrip. Some might say the most important machine in the Deathgrip. But yeah, thanks, dude. Appreciate it. It's cool. We've managed to throw this together in a very short space of time. But yes, here we are.
Am I your first repeat visitor to the podcast?
You've probably been on this thing more than me at this point.
Brilliant. It's got to be a good thing, right? Or you just can't get me to leave.
Yeah, exactly.
One of the two.
Well, those sound bites that you gave, do you remember? You did those 2 little sound bites. I've used those on every episode since you came on.
There you go. I get some airtime, don't I?
So yeah, no wonder your followers are blowing up, man. You always get that little O-Dub shout out every episode. So
yes.
So,
we can record some more after this if you want.
Yeah, we could do, couldn't we?
My plan was
to do more. Yeah, we could. Or my plan was to do more of those and get everyone to do it. And I just keep forgetting. That's really unprofessional, but keep forgetting.
Yeah.
Yours
Plus, if you've got the best,
so,
well,
exactly.
Where can you go from there? That's the pinnacle. That is the intro, isn't it?
Exactly, mate. Exactly. You set the bar too high, so no one else can keep up with you.
Totally, yeah.
So, since you last came on, man, just briefly, like, what's been going on in your world? What's happening? What's new?
Well, I guess we should probably talk mainly about Deathgrip. You don't want to hear about my kitchen and my car tyres blowing up and that kind of thing, do you?
No,
you want to hear about
really.
Deathgrip, right? It's gone on Netflix, dude.
I know, I heard. I saw.
That's right, yeah.
Crazy. Like, yeah, massive thing, obviously, for mountain biking. Huge for everybody involved. And it's hard to sort of like...
Really, really amazing. I mean, the movie itself happening is one thing, and then for it to actually... I guess it's kind of a testament to the reception it got.
Definitely. So yeah, let's just run with that a little bit. So, as a backstory, then, like, what's your earliest memory of Brendan?
So I met Bren. He's probably it was actually at the Pedal Hounds races that I think I talked about in my podcast.
Yes.
With you. So I met him. We were both there. We didn't have any mates. We're both there probably with our dads. Actually, Bren had his brother Christian, so he was a bit less of a loner than I was. But I guess I was in youth category. He was in novice, which I would assume would be around 13, 14.
Yeah.
And I would have been 15. Yeah, 13 and 15 probably. And I just remember meeting him at the races. Do you know what? We both our common interest was the Club Roost Stinger. We were both on Club Roost Stingers.
Right.
He's in a
Okay.
beautiful shade of purple. His was.
Yeah.
And he had a spiky jack helmet on.
Setting the
And
standards.
yeah, I guess we're talking lines and stuff, I guess, at races.
Okay.
Quite crazy to think.
So at that point then, was that like your first meeting of Brendan? Did you know him from before, obviously, or not? Like same town or anything like that?
Well, we were from real close by, but at that stage, you don't really understand maps or distances. So it seemed like, honestly, and it was before mobile phone. You forget it's before all of that stuff. So when you organised to meet up and go riding, it was like you actually had to be there.
Crazy times,
which is
really, when you
a
think
crazy
back.
thought. Yeah. So we had to wait. We had to. Do you know what? Bren was actually on time back then. It was ace. Him and Christian would turn up. Beryl would drive them there in the Golf with the worst bike rack I've ever seen, and he'd actually, give or take 5 minutes, we'd all be there on time. Which, since the introduction of mobile telecommunications and the internet, that has long gone.
Has it?
Waiting hours. Yeah. Good luck getting him on this podcast. In fact, dude.
Well, you only just made it.
Hey, come on, brother! I'm opening. Good point. Good point. Well made. Moving on.
Anyway, moving on swiftly. All right. So you met Brendan at a race, at a pedal lounge race, and then like going on from there, did you guys become like quite close friends? And is making an edit something that you'd maybe thought about as kids and stuff like that, or
like absolutely not? Do you know what? Like anyone in a video was. A video was like 15 quid. You did not have 15 quid at that stage. You've just about managed to make your parents buy you a ridiculously expensive mountain bike, which was probably second hand and hanging apart, but whatever, you were happy with it. The thought of actually, being in one of these videos that get passed round, I think that's, do you know what? I think that's like quite a big thing really, and quite a big tie between everyone involved, is that we all grew up in the same era when media was kind of, it had huge value. There was like Dirt magazine, all the magazines, you'd read them over and over again. Any video, you'd literally wear it out. And I think, all these boys are from, everyone involved is kind of from the same era, I'd say. And
it's crazy to think that we used to take videos to school and swap them. Like, what the hell was that?
Dude, mate, it's insane. It's insane. So I'd got into 411 video magazine because my brother was a skater. Yeah. And when Sprung first advertised in Dirt, we pre-ordered Sprung. Wow. I managed to get my dad, because my dad was into bikes, managed to get him to pre-order Sprung 1. So obviously wore that out. And then each one that came out from there wore all of those out as well.
Was it a pre-order too, where you sent it off in a letter?
100%.
Oh,
yeah, 100%. Yeah, crazy. A check. You'd send off a check and then like the cutout of the magazine with your details. How weird is that, dude?
It's nuts. And for kids that are listening now, like, just think how hard done by we were at 15. Well, no, maybe not 15. 15 is maybe a bit old, but like 12 years of age. We were doing this shit just to try and get a copy of the latest edit. It's,
yeah, man. Yeah, it's like saving up tokens on cereal packets. That probably doesn't happen anymore either.
No, probably doesn't, to be fair. No.
Basically, if you're under a certain age, we're now at the age where not a lot makes sense to you.
Yes.
Yeah, if you're at 15, we're basically talking gobbledygook when we talk about the past. So we should move on. Start talking about Facebook or something.
Let's talk about Instagram. Do you remember the first time you and Brendan maybe like filmed together, for example?
Filming together will have been a lot later. Right. Actually, no. Do you know what? I actually do remember that, because that was with Rankin, and that was for one of the Earthed, which was, from what I've just said, I pre-ordered Sprung 1, and those are the videos that we all watched over and over again, including Bren. Like, when we filmed for Earth, that was a dream come true. And I remember, I think it was in a Hardtails Rule bit, maybe.
Right.
And me and Bren rode Wisley, and we rode Chertsey, which are both like Wisley, we were friends with the dudes by then up there, but Chertsey was like a BMX only spot, so we were really privileged to be allowed to ride up there. But I actually do remember when we first filmed, and we turned up to Chertsey, and they had opened up a new line. It was like a long jump line, and they used me and Nobby to guinea pig it. Right. So all the cool cat BMXers were just sending these two youngster idiot mountain bikers off long jumps. But that's in the video. That's actually in the video.
Really?
It's amazing.
I'll have to dig that out, man. Let's.
I'm pretty sure it's earthed. Yeah.
Okay, if we can find it on YouTube, it'll be in the description below. How's
yeah,
that?
wicked. Yeah,
that'd be cool.
But that's the first time I remember filming with Bren.
Right.
But really, for a long time, because obviously Brendan's been, it's crazy to think it, but he's actually a World Cup veteran. He's done so many seasons.
Yeah.
This is his first job. He's 16, 17 years of age, and he became a traveller on the World Cup circuit, which is insane. Every single year since then, he's been away for 4 months of the year. And before mobile phones and stuff, basically we'd have him around, ride with him loads, and then he'd disappear for ages, and you'd watch, I don't know, maybe you'd get an MBUK report a month later of the World Cup results, or you'd talk to him on the phone when he got home. It's weird to think. Really, really different times.
And what's interesting then is how is Brendan's career went in that direction, and you obviously stuck more to like riding trails and stuff like that. Like growing up in between like those two stages, do you remember like that actually happening and him going, right, I'm going to go continue racing?
I do, yeah, I do, because I remember when I rode for a company for four cross, and then I got sponsored by DMR at a King of Dirt round, because I'd always just do four cross and King of Dirt, because they're kind of a bit more they were nearer to my home. I couldn't really travel much at that stage. Like, all of the nationals were so hard to get to. So Brent carried on doing the nationals. Big Chris and his brother Christian used to go out to those in the Volvo or whatever. I remember it as a Volvo, but whatever car they had back then. And I'd go and do the four cross. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I'd go and do four cross racing. So yeah, there was an exact point where we kind of split off and did different things. But yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy to think that it's all led to it being on, a Netflix special going worldwide, and all the success it's had on iTunes and everything. So,
I was looking today at like the amount of subscribers Netflix has got, and it's astronomical. So the fact that film is, I think it's 106 million subscribers or something. I mean, it's bloody hard to wrap your head around like how big that is to get that in front of people's sort of like faces. It's in 160 million households. Like,
yeah, it's insane, dude.
106, sorry, but
yeah, and really, I guess mountain biking at one stage, I was kind of attracted to it a little bit because it was fringe and it wasn't mainstream, and it was like, but and then to see it on Netflix is really crazy, or just to see it with such a huge following and so many people into it as we always have been, is wicked.
For sure. I think do you think other films are going to start following as well? I mean, this is something that I want to talk to Clay about right after, but do you think it's sort of setting the bar that will more films maybe start making it onto Netflix, or I don't know?
I honestly don't know, because part of me thinks that kind of gone are the days where these big productions can happen,
Yeah.
That Deathgrip will last.
Right.
But I really hope not. I hope that we're not just going to do YouTube videos and 6-second Insta clips. I hope that we're not going to go down the easy route.
Yeah.
I still want to read. I still want coffee table shit. I don't want Daily Mirror shit. I want the cool stuff.
High-end stuff. Yeah. And it's nice that it is in some ways heading in that direction. Like, you've got a bunch of publications coming out recently that are really nice, like quality pieces of kit. And like you say, it's nice that hopefully there's going to be more mountain bike films like that, where it might only be one or two possibly a year, but super high end, drags in the masses sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. I really hope so. I think all of these things do go in cycles, So we're going to do top 5 worst crashes for a bit, and then we're going to realise, God, we're a bit bored of top 5 worst face plants. Let's do a really nice movie again.
Yeah.
So
talk to me about your section, dude, because your section is sick. It's so goddamn good.
Wicked.
Honestly, man, that first shot when it's in like silence, like the first run through those trails, is Wisley, I believe, right?
Yeah. Jimmy's actually Leatherhead.
Okay, so Leatherhead. So sick. Like, how much impact and influence do you have on that section?
Well, do you know what? I think I remember when it wasn't really meant to be my section. It was meant to be the home section, or at least that's what I was told. I think Bren knows that I don't deal with pressure well. You know, I'm not much of a racer. I'm not much of a. It just ruins it for me. So I think he kind of kept it a bit on the DL. Him and Clay didn't really tell me that I was going to have quite so much in that section. I was blown away. So it's unreal. It's kind of a dream come true, really, when I think about it, because the riding in it is exactly the riding we do all summer long, you know. Yeah. And then even down to the track, dude. That's the music I've been listening to since I was 11. I was listening to music like that, and then I had the jersey on. I rode in it one day, and then Clay was like, "Dude, you should carry on wearing it." Okay. For the whole section.
Because that's so you kind really of like basketball kind of.
Yeah, exactly. It's just the dream, because I always wanted to be a basketball player. So then to have like a section with, oh man, it really is. When I think about it, it really is.
I'm so pumped for you.
It's the dream.
I'm so pumped for you, and I think you did an amazing job. Like whoever obviously is involved, and I'm not just saying it's your section. I didn't really mean that. I mean it is, but it's not. Like everyone who rode in that section was off the chain. Yeah. But it totally encapsulated what trail riding's about. Like, for me, I grew up like riding trails as well, right? And it just brought me back to like Sprung days. Like that was all I could like envisage. It was just, it's so good. Yeah. It's insane.
Wicked, dude. Do you know what? Thinking about it now, talking to you, I've not, but I guess the fact that it's called home, is it almost goes back to what we were saying about Bren going away for the World Cup, right? On the World Cup circuit for all that time during the year. I guess growing all his life, he's thought of home as dirt jumps and all of the boys riding these spots. So it's kind of funny to think of it like that. That's almost what it represents, which is wicked.
It's nice to hear as well that it came out exactly how you wanted it. Like you say, right from the music, like the whole thing. I mean, I was watching it again last night, and I said to my girlfriend, I'm like, this is exactly what it should be. You nailed everything perfectly. Like you say, from the soundtrack, the riding, the silent
wicked,
spots,
man,
like the fact that there's no huge like banger tricks. I think that's massive as well, and that carries through the whole film, right? Like there's nothing epic in it, like massive trick wise. The riding just speaks for itself.
Yeah, you know, part of me, I wanted to get out the double backflips and the tail whips and all of the cash rolls. I wanted to get them out,
but it just didn't feel right, did it?
Just in case you're wondering, I can't do any of those. But honestly, the section is kind of exactly how we ride trails, really. You know, it's not, and I think we've got quite a unique scene. They're all steep and they're all perfect. It's not. I don't realise how unique the scene around London really is. I've been so blessed to have it near me all my life.
That's interesting, right? And is it something that when you were sort of like creating that you were constantly kind of thinking about, like making sure that you encompass like everything that trail riding's about? Or did that just come naturally?
Do you know what, Davey? Honestly, no, because it really was. Clay will say the same. It was like he turned up on like this, particularly the Wisley bit, that sticks out for me because that was exactly a day's riding. That was a session. It wasn't like, oh, can you do this again? Can you do this again? Which, you know, with filming, you get quite a lot of. You work your way down let's say a downhill bike trail. Yeah. Naturally, you're not just doing runs. You're hitting one jump and one turn over and over again until you get it right. Or with dirt jumps, we're just doing laps, and it was like completely just a part of it. It was exactly how it is on any weekend in the summer, which I think is probably maybe a key to its success, you know.
Yeah, it's organic.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't want to say the word, but that's exactly what it is, yeah.
I'll say it, man. I got no shame.
No.
No, but you can tell, like, I think as well, and something that I'm going to have, speak to Clay about is every section for me, like the music, the whole thing just sort of like summed up what that rider and that location and everything is all about. That's one thing that really resonated with me at the end of the film. I was like, all that made total sense. Like there's no like weird music in it where you're like, oh, that doesn't really fit. Like what's that about? You know, it's like if you had like, for me, if you have like a trail section to heavy metal, it'd be a bit off. That's just me personally.
No, totally, yeah. I mean, you could take breaks off rider's bike and then put heavy metal to it, it'd probably be about right.
Then it's good.
Get some huge nose cases and stuff.
Yeah. Something else I wanted to ask you too, right? Is like job roles as well. Like I know obviously you're in the film, but I noticed you're on the what they call like the credits as well a couple of times. So like art director, I think one of those.
Yeah, they gave me loads of nice credits, didn't
Fluffer, that was
very
on there
kind.
at some
Fluffer,
point.
that was another one. Yeah. Basically, it's really it's we're all mates, and I wanted to make it happen as much as all of us did. So I helped out Clay with some of the early proposals because I do graphic design, and I did some of the I did the logo, for instance. I did the just some odd jobs really, and then of course building. I built a lot of the. Well, I built during. What did I do? Oh, I don't know.
Did
they
you
put
go
my
on
name in
location
enough
to anywhere, or were you just?
Yes, I did. Yeah, I built the section, the Seminuk section.
Yeah. Okay.
The opener.
Utah.
Some of the tracks in the opener. Yes, the
Right.
Utah.
Okay.
Yeah, the Utah bit. Yeah, me and Bren went out for a week. That was one of the hardest weeks. We'd sort of just come back from Rampage as well, and we headed straight out to the desert. Not nearby really, but
Right. Because it's like a similar sort of area, but not because it's America, so it's miles away. Obviously,
exactly. Yeah.
Growing up, you don't know how to use a map, so you just like,
dude.
oh, it's only over the hill, but it's obviously not, right?
Mate, I thought we were sort of near New York, but it turns out we weren't really that close. Yeah, I was hoping we could pop over and see the Statue of Liberty whilst we're there. But that was a hard week's building. That was it. We were up against it with the weather, and we were. What you don't realise for a lot of these things, like some of those shoots are like an hour down. They're an hour down like a really bumpy 4x4 track. Yeah. You're out in the middle. Like I can't really say the middle of nowhere in England, but in America, the middle of nowhere is like properly the middle of nowhere. You know?
Yeah.
Like we had to travel so far each day, and we were working with KJ and Billingshurst.
Right.
I'm really worried to forget people's names. I've got such a sieve brain, but yeah, we're working with those boys out there in the middle of the desert, and yeah, it was a hard week. Hard week. I'm sure Bren will tell you more about that. I wasn't there for the shoot, so I felt really bad. Like I'm used to digging stuff and sending him off it at Rampage, for instance, but I'm still there and I'm still talking to him about speed and stuff. Whereas I just flew home, and then a week later he went out and rode it all. So yeah, yeah, terrifying.
Jeez. All right, man. Well, if you could sum up this whole project and the movie making it to Netflix and the possibility of like a teenager losing some V plates to watching you ride trails, like what?
Dude, well, you know me. I struggle to be serious, but actually, it's a real honour to be anything to do with it, and I think a massive achievement on the part of everyone involved. And really, I got to see what went into these things, and it is massive. It's a huge ask on everyone, particularly Clay and all of the boys close by his side getting it done. And if we can make a couple of curly-haired idiots like ourselves inspired in the same way we were by the videos we used to watch, then it's a complete success, and hopefully Netflix will help it whilst they're on their Tinder dates.
Exactly, and it's way easier. Like, yeah, I mean, God, how chalk and cheese is it from like sending off for video subscriptions or whatever, and then now just being able to click it on your phone even. I mean, it's nuts.
Exactly. Yeah, Mum and Dad have already paid for the subscription for half these cats.
Yeah,
it's easy, dude. Just click on it and watch it, and then go and be a pro mountain biker. It's as easy as that, isn't it? Really?
Yeah. All right, man. Well, we're going to keep these relatively short and sweet. But obviously, coming up next is going to be Clay Porter, the director. So I'm going to ask you to do a brief introduction to Clay, and then we're going to hand it straight over to Clay.
The man, the legend, Clay Porter. What else can I say about him? He's little do many people know he's got the best manuals in the game. That guy can manual any straight of any BMX track in the world, I would say.
Wow.
Hand it over to Clay. Can't say enough good things about the fella, really.
Next up, nice little introduction from Ollie. Apparently you're a manual master and a an all-round legend. So, yeah, welcome to the podcast, Clay. It's an absolute honor to have you on here, dude. It really is.
Right on. Stoked to be chatting with you boys.
I guess first up, I want to congratulate you on providing the mountain bike community with an epic film to watch and getting it in the homes of, I think, like 106 million people, which is insane. So
yeah, right on. Thanks.
Congratulations for that, man. It's crazy, and I'm so stoked for everyone that's involved. Like I was just saying to Ollie, I know Ollie quite well now from having him on the podcast. Actually, I didn't know him before. But,
oh, cool. I'll have to check his out.
Yeah, but just to have him, have you guys featured on there, it's rad, and I'm stoked. Really am. Really, really am.
Right on. Cheers, man.
So the best thing I think to do is there's going to be a lot of newbies to the sport maybe listen to this. So if it's all right with you, I wanted to get like a real brief sort of like synopsis. I know that's a big word. Sorry for that. A brief synopsis of Clay and sort of like how you got to where you're at right now. Like how did you find filmmaking and stuff like that?
Yep. Well, essentially growing up, I was super into mountain biking, obviously, and started watching mountain bike films and whatnot. And then I grew up in San Francisco, so I got a bunch of my friends were skaters and stuff. So I'd always kind of check out skate films and whatnot too, and just got over time super interested in. Hold up, someone's calling me on the other line.
It's all right, man.
But anyways, yeah, was just super psyched on watching mountain bike films. Love the combination of, I guess, like music and editing and cinematography and action all kind of blended together. And, broke my wrist one summer when I was 17, super bad, and basically couldn't ride and couldn't race and stuff. And so then just started filming like full time. And then just got super into it basically, and started traveling with like the Yeti development team way back in the day. This is like maybe 2003,
right?
2004. Was really good friends with Jill Kittner growing up, so she introduced me to a lot of people during that time. And then did my first World Cup season, also filming for Yeti in 2006. The year that I shot the film Between the Tape. Also the year I met Brendan, the Athertons, started to get to know Steve well, dudes like that. And yeah, did 3 or 4 DVDs. That was kind of at an era when the web stuff wasn't as saturated as it is now, Yeah. So I was focusing more on like doing the DVDs every year, and yeah, just trying to tell the story of the World Cup season. It was a cool time because there wasn't, I think, Freecaster did the live feed, but there wasn't as much like race coverage, and it was always kind of my goal to showcase that side of the sport.
Okay.
And then, did Won't Back Down, Steve's film. That took a couple years. That came out like 2014. Mm-hmm. Around that time was when Brendan and I started to get serious about talking about how we could pull off a film about him. And fast forward a couple of years, and Deathgrip is out there.
Huge. Easy as that. Wow. So tell me a little bit more about like Deathgrip, the backstory. I mean, like, where did the idea first spawn from? Was there an initial like conversation or anything that you remember? Is it pub talk first or what?
I mean, it was just Brendan, his first, the first year he's raced World Cups when he was a junior riding for Orange was 2006. So it was the first year I went to all the World Cups, and we just became buddies. He always would have a segment in the race DVDs that I was doing around that time. And we just became good buddies. And his he was just always really fun to work with, and just a rad dude, like one of my really good friends now, But and it was funny. We like went through, I guess, 3-minute gaps was the film or the project that we saw maybe the potential of us working together, and that was probably a highlight segment in that project. I thought probably the riding was the best in that segment,
Yeah. I agree.
And so I think, you know, but around that time we were almost more stoked on just like hanging out and shit. He would always come to California during the winter, and stay with me for a couple weeks and just train and do what he needed to do. And we'd ride a ton and stuff. And Ollie and those boys would come over and stuff. But I think, you know, there was a number of years where basically we were just like hanging out doing that. I like went over to his place a couple years ago, 2 years in a row for New Year's, and just like hung out, no cameras and everything. And so I think all of those times, even though we were like hanging out a bunch, but we weren't necessarily filming and working together, I think that's really what, like, you know, kind of sparked the flame. And then it just grew to the point where we were like really ready to make the project by the time we pulled out the cameras, which was this time 2 years ago in South Africa.
Wow.
And
yeah, sort of like what I'm interested in as well, I mean, is how do you go from idea to reality almost? Like, is there a lot of work going on with, like, I don't know, presentations to sponsors, that sort of stuff? Because Ollie obviously was involved in that. He just said before that he helped with sort of like, what would you call it? Like presentations to sponsors and stuff.
Yeah, Ollie laid out the initial decks that we used to basically get money for the project, you know, like our fundraising decks that, you know, we took to all of Brendan's sponsors. We took to some outside companies. The project hired an executive producer, which is essentially the dude that went out and kind of led those efforts, you know.
Okay.
But Deathgrip was a crazy project, and that I just kind of like went for it, you know. Like, it was a point when I started to do more kind of commercial work that allowed me to like own a lot of this really cool equipment, you know. Okay. And we just started, you know, like I initially just looked at Deathgrip as like, well, I can either like stay at home for a week and chill, or I can like go and hang out with Brendan and film, and we'll just kind of go for it. And that's kind of what the initial shoots were, you know?
Yeah.
And then, you know, when we had a couple shoots under our belt, I built like a sizzle reel, which was essentially, you know, all the best shots we had filmed, and used that to continue to fundraise as we shot. You know, it's definitely not like a project of this scale is not like a step-by-step process. I mean, it is to a degree, but it's just like peaks and valleys the whole way of like, you know, filming, fundraising, like all of, you know, there's so many like layers to it that it's crazy. Like every one of them that I do, and Deathgrip was essentially like the 10th mountain bike film project I had done, you know?
Yeah.
The early ones might not have seen, too many people might not have seen them, whatever, but it's everyone I do, I just learn so much more about like how to do it. And the more projects that I do, you learn that like, there's not, I wish it was like easier to like just explain how intricate it is, but it's just like fucking, it's gnarly, you know?
Yeah. You kind of have to be in it to understand it, sort of thing.
Yeah. There's just some, from like distribution to fundraising to pre-production to production to post-production to, you know, like this new stage of distribution that we're at now with Netflix and stuff. And now with like a lot of accounting with the project, and even just getting it on Netflix is like not as easy as people, you know, might assume or whatever. But, but the project was amazing in that it was just like Brendan and I kind of went for it, you know, and we were both like at a point, I guess, in our careers where he had, you know, been traveling so much and I had, and we both kind of like really knew how we could pull it off, you know, pretty low budget at the start, and then in the hopes that we could, you know, pull together funding, you know, which we did in the end. But it was kind of, you know, it's just tricky with a film is so much different than other projects I do. And the other projects I do, like some of them are like down to like how many days you're shooting and stuff like that, and that's how they're, you know, kind of constructed and budgeted. In Deathgrip, it was just like go for it and kind of hope that like we can pull it off. And I'm now like at a point, thankfully, where I'm like, okay, cool, we can pull it off, you know, because it's just gnarly to like go for it on a project of that scale, you know?
Yeah.
But that's also the reason why it turned out the way it did is because Brendan and I were just like, there was this creative energy there, and you know, we both really felt that, you know.
I think that's one thing actually Ollie's just spoke about. You know, like most people involved are all of like the same era, roughly around the same sort of age, and it's just like you can tell it's like a massive like passion project for everybody, not just a job, right?
Yeah, for sure. Totally. I'm just stoked that like it's done well enough where we can like, you know, it can like make sense on paper a little bit, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
but it's also just funny like talking about you know, because we like creatively wrapped it like last, you know, April, May essentially. So but it's been, I don't know, looking back on it, it's funny when it came out on Netflix, I watched it again for the first time all the way through.
Right.
Like honestly, probably since the premieres. And well, I had to do some shit after the premieres, but since I essentially like delivered it to iTunes and mastered it and whatnot, and so I was able to see it with like a little bit fresher eyes, you know, and a little bit outside eyes, and I'm fucking stoked on it. It truly is like a culmination of like, I guess like you just said, like a lot of, you know, it's like a lot of people's, when they really have a lot of almost, I guess, just experience under their belt, from the writers to the, you know, to the team that did it. And there was a lot of cool new energy there. Like Chris Seeger and I hadn't worked too much prior to Deathgrip, but I worked on him with a project, and actually, it's funny, I met him when me, Bren, who else went? Like this dude, Ben Baker, who's a fucking legend. I love him. He's such a great dude. But he raced World Cups like when I was doing all the DVDs and shit. But anyways, we fucking went to Ibiza. Like this is like a couple of summers
it's already
ago
a recipe
like
of a disaster.
yeah. But for sure. But anyways, that's where I met Seeger, and I was just like, you know, I had like chatted with him before on like the side of like racetracks or whatever, but that's like when I actually like got to know him, and then did a project with him and John Reynolds, who I work with all the time, who worked a ton on Deathgrip. And we went to Japan and shot Stevie actually.
Right.
And Seeger crushed it. And then it was like, cause I was always knew if I did Deathgrip, I'm like, shit, I gotta have a person like, that's like, you know, kind of like, I don't know, like in the UK, in London, you know, that's like really, that's also super tight with Brendan and just a fun dude to hang out with, you know?
Yeah.
Like Deathgrip was like, what's the recipe of like most talented athlete, creative recipe, but also like almost above that, like who do we want to, like, it was a passion project, you know, and in doing that, like you want to like hang out with your homies basically. And that's like, you know, but it was even cool from like, you know, the fact that I was able to get like the like Cameron and John Reynolds and, our assistant at Medish Creative. And then even on the Utah shoot, working with dudes like Ty Evans and, you know, like it was just a sick project to throw like the A team at all angles, you know, and that's like what the recipe was essentially.
That's rad. I mean, is it slightly weird then? Sorry.
And also Rupert went to Utah too.
Okay.
And I was just gonna say Rupert, Brandon's filmer, who's doing all the rad Rebel Coast stuff these days, was out there too. So it was like seriously like all the sickest people that I've worked with over the years working on this project. So I'm stoked that, you know, everybody was able to. I'm stoked that everybody was down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's like it's just hard to pull off projects with these scales. You know, like you look back on them and you're just like, whoa! I just like not like went to war or whatever, but you're just like, because that's like obviously a really negative term, but you just like really like gave everything into it. You know.
Is it strange then for you talking about it now? Like,
and Brendan too, like he's a fucking racer, dude. He doesn't get paid to do any of this shit, you know. it's just like funny when you look back on it, you know. You're just like, wow. Like I was chatting with Brendan on the phone yesterday, and we were both almost at the end of the conversation. Like I can't believe, like, because we had talked about doing it for forever, you know, before it. So, anyways.
No, I was gonna say, is it kind of weird for you talking about it again like a year down the line? Because I mean, for me, like I've seen like my mate Joe, it's obviously Joe Bowman from Steel City Media, is a mutual friend. And when he was like working on This Is Petey, I've seen him in some editing death holes. Like, you know, you're surrounded by Monster Energy.
Yeah.
So for you,
It's,
do you get like that? Like towards the end of it, you're just like, fuck, like it's rad, but you've seen it a million times over and over again.
Yeah, definitely. It's like maybe why that's why I used like the war reference before, because you get out of it and you're just like, you almost like don't like it. You're so numb to it that it's like, and that's what's ultimately so fucking sick about the premiere is you're just at this thing like, dude, at this screening and no one has seen any of this shit. And that's like the ultimate post-it note that like any editor has to have on their desk is like, no one's seen this, you know? And it's like, but also no, because it's like the like Netflix, it dropped on Netflix the other day, and, you know, there's like some homework that I have to do because of that. So I'm still pretty involved, like even to this day, even almost on like a daily basis, which is almost going to slow down here soon, which is cool. But I don't know, like the more I get out of like the fog of making it, the more stoked I am. One, that I like that we put so much effort into it, and two, the more I'm like able to see it with fresh eyes.
That's interesting. One of the questions I had actually for you was about equipment. Obviously, this is a large scale sort of like film, I guess. I mean, at the time, did you know it was going to end up on Netflix, or is this sort of come out of the blue almost?
No.
Awesome.
Yeah, we definitely didn't know it was going to come out on Netflix when we were making it. iTunes for sure, and all the other download platforms it's on. But the equipment was like, we started off like the first shoot we did in South Africa, and what did we have? We had like for all the camera dudes out there, we had
this
like
is what this section's for. It's for the camera guys, right?
Okay, cool. We had a Red Epic on sticks, like on a tripod, which I was on most of the time. Seeger was on like an A7S on a Movi with an Odyssey recorder. And then we had an Inspire drone, and then like lensing for the cameras. But that was pretty much it. You know, it wasn't like super burly. And then like fast forward a year later, when we're shooting in Utah, and it's all that plus like another Red on sticks, plus like a million GoPros, a drone all the time, all of Ty Evans's gear, which is like a shot over with a Red inside, a Phantom camera. Like that one was nutty. Rupert's stuff.
Right.
So it was like, but Utah was sick. Utah was actually one of the shortest shoots we did, just because it was like straight up the fucking A-team, you know, and it was Brandon and Brendan. So it's like the two nastiest dude, like seriously the two dudes that I probably like shooting the most, if I'm perfectly honest, you know.
Okay.
Like they're just like, it was just like so efficient. Like there was no bullshit at all on that shoot. It was just like pros getting down at a 10 out of a 10 level, like on both sides of the lens. Is fucking sick. I wish every shoot was like that, you know. but every shoot isn't, and that's also what made that one so magical, you know.
Yeah.
So
I think,
but yeah,
for me, you know, I watched the movie again last night, and
cool.
And one of the things I think the crew and you did really well is like you captured every rider's, not only the personality, riding style, and everything in their section. And like I think you did that so well. I mean, like if you look at like Josh and Ratboy and Brendan's section, like that is that is so like Josh. Do you know what I mean? Like it came out so good. Sure. Is that something that like, so going into that sort of shoot, is it something that you discuss with the rider, or is it quite an organic thing that it just sort of like happens and it's just them?
No, yeah, that was actually a really interesting shoot, and that was the one shoot that I wasn't there myself for. So it was Seeger and Robbie Mead, which was actually really cool because it was the first shoot where we really went crazy with GoPro. So it was funny, like getting the drive. Like I was obviously in touch with the boys when they were filming, and they would like, you know, send me clips even of them, like, you know, their screens or whatever, them filming their screens of some sick shots. So I was like, fuck, this stuff is so good. And then I just watched the footage back and watched all the GoPro stuff and was like, just so much more interested in all the like just bullshit that they were talking. Not even just stoked, you know. It was sick. It wasn't bullshit at all, I guess, but it was just like so them, and they were just like little like drunk kids almost. I was like, what the fuck? and then like, but then that was also interesting but so that was actually so Seeger and Robbie Mead shot it, and then they sent me the drive, and I edited this section, and that section took the longest by far out of any section to edit, because it was just savagely cutting between cameras at like the exact frame of where they're at on the trail. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But and so that's another reason why I think that section came out unique, is because I wasn't there, and I just like was able to like look at the footage in a different way. You know, it's funny, like on like full on Hollywood movies, like the, you know, director or cinematographer or whatever is like not like the editor's not on set. You know what I mean? Like they don't have any attachment to the footage. So it's like really interesting to like look at footage like that, you know? And it's like, that's another reason why, like, I've edited so much mountain bike stuff over the years now that it's like, I think one of the reasons why Deathgrip, there was a cool pace to it throughout, you know, like I really feel like it's pretty easy to watch.
Oh man, for sure.
And it's like, so it's just like, you know, it's basically like you're trying to like you're almost like a chef that's like in like a super nice restaurant. Like they don't like force feed like there's small portions, you know, they like leave you wanting more a little bit. And that's like almost like, I guess, the process of editing a film in a nutshell. You know, you have this fucking mountain of footage that you have to sculpt into something that's like, you know, again, your goal is to make the most like easily watchable thing possible, and that's the combination of like sick action, sick cinematography, sick editing that's just ruthless, unless it's like the nastiest shot that combines everything, then it's not going in, you know?
Yeah.
And there was anyways a lot of that in Deathgrip, which is one of the reasons why, again, just watching it with a bit fresher eyes the other day all the way through, I was like, fuck, I was stoked on some of the edits.
Dude, it's like, for me, it's like an emotional thing all the way through it. Like, I love the section from like, it's called Home. So like, you know, Ollie's dirt jumpy sort of section.
Oh yeah.
And then when that like cuts and it's like, it's been pretty chilled and like super flowy, and then it comes into like a hard riff with Brendan just ripping a turn. Like,
okay,
sick. I was honestly, that bit there, I was like, wow, like that's
cool.
Taking me from being like super chilled and just watching all this flow, and then just being like, boom, here it is, like it's coming in hard for the next section. I think that was so sick.
It's funny that one shot that's on there for so long, that's Ollie and Ralph Baggs just training those trails, that goes on for like excuse me, like 30 seconds or whatever. That was like filming that, like I almost like didn't even remember filming that shot, just because I was like documenting those dudes at the trails. Like it was pretty chill, and trails are a hard one to shoot because you can't like interfere too much on the sesh, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But anyways, I like barely remembered shooting that. Like I kind of walked away from that afternoon of film and be like, I got some cool like real-time tripod stuff that's tight and is what it is, you know. It didn't like necessarily blow my mind, but then looking back on it in the edit process, and that was actually one of the last segments I cut at Ollie's house like a week before the premiere, like during that super crunch time. Anyways, I was just looking at the footage like new, and I was like, fuck, that's the coolest shot we got in the whole shoot, probably, is that one super long shot, you know, or I guess what would have the most impact on the audience, you know. And that's what's so fucking crazy, dude, about the UK trail scene, is how like there's just like there's so many fucking jumps, dude. There's like 4 times the amount of jumps anywhere else. They just go forever, dude.
And it's all
like
condensed.
A full line at Jimmy's is like a minute long or something like that, which is crazy. I was like shooting it, and I'm like, this is like almost like back in the day when I would like just like walk down a downhill trail like while one of the dudes was like testing or whatever, and just get a bunch of shots, you know what I mean? Because it would take Ollie, and then it's just sick. It's like a minute long dirt jump line.
Awesome. Anyway, one of the things before we let you get out of here is I wanted to ask you about is what I've noticed, and I hopefully you attest to this, is like when a film like Deathgrip comes out, like the bike industry like really gets behind it. I think it's been missing another feature length movie, if you ask me, something like this.
Cool.
And it's super positive, I think, to see, you know, you go on your Instagram, for example, and everyone's story on March the 1st is like sat watching Deathgrip. I think that's so sick. What do you think like the future is of sort of like mountain bike and action sports films? Is there going to be more going on to platforms like Netflix? Do you think it's not going to happen? Like I'm kind of curious what you think to that.
That's an interesting question. I
Thank
think
you.
it's like down to right on. I think it's down to like the reason why it got on Netflix was because it was like what I was saying before is that everybody, it was like it was just a bunch of people getting together that were super experienced, you know?
Yeah.
And it was like when you do that, it's going to create that's the best recipe for like sustainable content, I guess, in this day and age. And when that's, I guess, why like it got on Netflix, you know what I mean? Like someone there was like, I don't know, this is cool or whatever. Shout out them, you know?
Yeah. Whoever you are, I hope you're listening.
Yeah. But like looking at you know, like one of my favorite things right now in the whole mountain bike scene is what like Brandon and Rupert are doing, you know? And it's like it's just about, it's like at this, you know, the mountain biking industry is, I don't know, 20 years old or something like that. And there's all these new technologies like GoPros, drones, blah, blah, blah. And it's like whoever can take all this stuff and maximize it the best. It's about like squeezing a sponge these days where it's like, it's pretty, there's a lot of content out there right now, you know? And it's like, you can't get away with like just sick riding or just sick cinematography or just, you know, you have to combine this stuff. But fortunately we're at a point like technology wise where you're able to do that, you know, and if you're able to like grind it out while filming it, you know, and be patient with, you know, all this crazy shit that gets thrown at you when you're filming mountain biking or whatever. But, it's like about utilizing this technology in new and inventive ways, you know, and it's like, it's really almost, I think, such a sick time for creatives and athletes, because it's like, you know, even the iPhone, it's like, look what like an athlete can do for their own social media. Like the middleman is being cut out. It's like all about boom. If like, you know what I mean? And it's like, so in this time where really like the artist like has the power in a lot of ways. And when I say artist, I mean like the filmmaker and the athlete, because I think athletes are artists in a huge way too, you know? Yeah. And it's like, so I think getting more mountain bike projects on Netflix and hopefully crazier shit than Netflix is definitely on the horizon. You know, it's just about people that are like, you know, like who's the hungriest and who's just the most down to like work fucking hard, you know, because it's not easy to make this shit, you know? So it's,
that's interesting though, really interesting.
But it's like, you know, it's like funny, like passion is a very interesting, you know, thing that happens, and it like will drive you to do crazy stuff. Like Deathgrip, even doing Deathgrip on paper, like financially is like fucking stupid. Like Brendan's a racer and I'm like the payment schedule for Deathgrip was very, it just took a lot to make that movie, you know? And it's like, but like I said, passion is fucking crazy, and it'll make people, you know, do risky shit that I think ultimately pays off, you know. And luckily there's these tools these days where like you can do, I mean, the like what you can do for like 10 grand or less aerial wise right now in this year in 2018 is like crazy, right? Like a complete game changer, you know. And even like using the GoPro in interesting ways, that was another thing that made that Schladming section so sick, is Robbie and Seeger were like every day ruthless about those dudes doing GoPro runs, you know, like 3 days in a row of just those savagely fast runs. So anyways, it's a cool time, man. I think, you know, I think and even like what you're doing with this podcast, you know, like stuff like it's just a cool time to be a creative. If you can like work hard, you know, and if you have a vision for something, the tools have never been more accessible. So I think it's like, it's shifting, the creative is getting more and more, not like power or whatever, but just more and more like freedom to really do what they want and not have anybody, have a say in what they want.
It's a strange time, it really is, and like you say, it's interesting to hear your perspective of that, because one thing I pretty much always talk to every podcast guest about is like, how do you stay relevant? And I guess in some ways you have to be one step ahead of them staying relevant to make sure that they're relevant. Does that make sense? Because like,
yeah, of course, that's like, because it's like Deathgrip was like, really the filming of it was like 2 years ago now. It's so like in the past for Brent and I, but it's cool to see. That's like a little bit too why like it's cool to see people stoke of it on Netflix. Like we've known about that for a while, and it's like, but that's what's cool about, again, new technologies like Instagram, seeing like so many people have it in their story the other day and whatnot.
Oh, yeah, it's rad. It's rad for sure. And just a couple of quick ones just before I let you get off, man, is the length of the film.
Worries.
Like you just said, people are used to 1 minute bangers and, short edits and stuff like that. So how much thought did you put into making sure that this was going to be sort of like, close to an hour, basically? It's not far off, I guess, as it's 52 minutes or something.
Totally. I mean, not really that much thought into the length. I just like knew that we would need to do these certain shoots to be able to like pull it off.
Yeah.
And certain trips and whatnot. And then the length was like always going to be like, length is an interesting question. Like, I don't, unless it's like predetermined by the client, you're making like a 30-second commercial, or this needs to be like 1 minute because of like, I don't know, whatever. Yeah. Length is always like, the film will be what it needs to be. And again, that's just like however tight or however much you can like squeeze the sponge in the edit just to make the tightest, most impactful, most, ripe product possible. And that just for Deathgrip, like, happened to be 52 minutes or whatever.
Got it. Okay. No, that's cool. That's good. Yeah. It just happened how it happened. That's cool.
Yeah, totally.
And obviously no DVD. That was a decision you made just because that's just the way of the world, like right now.
For sure. And they're just really, like Won't Back Down, which was 2014. Yeah. Like even then it didn't really make sense to do a DVD, but that was a time when it was just like, we're now 2017, 2018. And I think Won't Back Down, we printed like 2,000, but they were DVD Blu-ray combo packs, which you have to do now, which involves getting a license from Sony to do a Blu-ray, like doing the authoring on a DVD and a Blu-ray, which is two separate dudes, printing it, and even like housing all the product is a pain in the ass, and like shipping. And it's just like, the reality is these projects are like, some of them are like, not much, it's not like the like goal of these films is to make a product that like people think is like more, I don't know, even more like baller than it actually is. But the reality is it's like us just going for it. And it's like, I like wish we could have done a DVD for Deathgrip just because it turned out to be such an epic project. But it's like, it's like fronting the cost to make all that shit. It was like hard enough to make the movie as it was. And I'm just like, I ultimately too, it's like, I wanted the movie to be like as future proof as possible. Yeah. So have like long of a shelf life as possible. And it's like doing a DVD Blu-ray, and even a Blu-ray, like packaging it on a disc felt almost like archaic at this point, where I was like, fuck that, dude. I don't want to put that stamp on this project, like, because again, that's like what the project was all about, was like owning it creatively and doing, announcing it how we wanted to, like doing everything on our terms, and it just felt like this line needed to be drawn where it was like DVDs or like, would have been cool to hand them out and whatnot, but it's also like, it just feels kind of old almost. And so much about the project, it was like, what can we make that like almost like looks like the future a little bit?
Yeah, for sure. So after the dust has settled, it's been a year, you've watched it again. Do you have a favorite section?
No way.
52 minutes
like,
of it.
yeah. No, I mean, probably like for me personally, like in Utah, working with Ty was a huge, like, almost like bucket list goal in a way. Just having him shoot mountain biking, you know, was so sick. Let alone.
And Ty's a skate
Brandon.
filmer, right? Usually.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's been making skate videos for like the last 20 years, but has made like multiple just like iconic films in the skate world. Super legendary filmmaker. I've loved his work forever. Anybody who's a filmmaker listening to this should check out his shit. But anyways, having Ty out there in Utah was all time. And then probably like the funnest, like some of those Madeira jump sessions and Madeira trips. I did 2 pretty big trips to Madeira for the film. And that place is just so rad. And John, our local kind of guide almost, was just such a legend looking after us. And it was just, you know, again, it's like filming most of Deathgrip was kind of like going on vacation, really. It was like work, obviously. And you know, we're like, you're not like slack, but it's chill just because, you know, everybody's kind of on the same wavelength. But
that comes off in the film. Like you can feel that, like, do you know what I mean?
Cool.
You can tell that there's passion and it's fun. It's not just, like you said, it's not just a job, you know?
Yeah, for sure. It's just more, I guess, the like fundraising and editing and just all the other shit that comes with it. It can be kind of a suck sometimes.
Yeah.
But
that's life.
But it's all good. Like, exactly. Like making shit that people like takes a lot of work, you know, or people will even watch for that matter.
Yeah. True.
But I would say probably like the shoot that I had like the most, like it was like 11 out of 10 fun factor was some of those Madeira trips.
Right. Yeah, they certainly looked epic. I mean, beautiful filmmaking.
Yeah, the place is crazy.
Stunning. Yeah. And that line, I think that Brendan made that entire line himself too, which is nuts.
He did it with, he definitely led it, but I think like Nicky Wiles was out there for a while, who's a rad dude, and like Liam Mason and a couple other homies.
Okay.
But yeah, that was one of the first things that like Bren built. And actually, when talking about when the project kicked off, when he said he had built that and they went out there for like a week, I was like, okay, cool. Well, we're definitely shooting it. So this thing's got to start, you know?
Yeah.
So
awesome, man. All right. Well, one thing I wanted to just really quickly add is if people are enjoying this episode, like make sure you go listen to Vitals Inside Line. I'm all about trying to help people too, dude. So the one that you and Brendan did with Spoma was real good, and that's like a pre-release, and then you know, hopefully listen to that, watch the film, and then maybe listen to this one. But yeah, that was a really, really good episode. I listened back to that again, and yeah, you, cool. Brendan and Spoma did an awesome job with that. But yeah, wanted to at least give Spoma and that crew a shout out because they're doing a good job over there too. So
yeah, for sure. Spoma's
all right.
Man.
We're going to have Seeger up next, if it's all right. I'm going to hand over to you, give Seeger a really quick introduction, and then we'll crack on with that one.
Oh, sick. Seeger is the man. Seeger's one of the coolest dudes I've met in the last couple of years. He is a Tinder swiping, movie running drone pilot. I don't know. He's just fucking a great dude to be around. There's a lot of energy with Seeger, which is probably what I love the most about him. It's just like, you know, he's young, he's down to do what it takes, you know, and he just loves having a good time. So he fit in very well with the Deathgrip crew, and it was honestly it was a fun project to really get to know Seeger well. So I don't know. Seeger's the man. Love you, bud.
Awesome. All right, let's hand it over to Chris Seeger.
We're live on air.
We are live on air.
Coming in your ears. That sounds wrong. Scratch that.
How funny was that in Phoenix Nights? Every time I drive past Chorley, I still think of that. Like, yeah, every time. Amazing. So, welcome to the podcast, Seeger, Chris Seeger. Clay just gave you a little intro and reckons that you've almost completed Tinder. Is that true?
Almost, never. Still so much swiping to go.
He reckons you've got the biggest thumb muscles in the bike industry.
Who knows? Rumours have it.
What I'm excited for, hopefully it's going to happen. It won't be happening to me because I'm in a good relationship. You got to get a Tinder date and then go through the whole Netflix and chill thing and then just drop the bomb of like, oh, by the way, I've got like a movie on here. And I reckon that's a guaranteed, it's a guaranteed at least first base, isn't it?
Guaranteed. Let's hope so. No luck yet, but tune in and I'll let you know when.
Should do an update.
on my Instagram, weekly updates. It's not going well the past few weeks, but there's still time.
There is, man. There is.
I've done it for 2 years. If I can't pull it off within 2 years, I need to have a rethink.
Yeah, I reckon so. That's hilarious. Is this your first podcast you've done?
Yeah, it is.
Sick, dude. Do you listen to stuff or not?
A few different ones.
Right.
Some camera ones.
Okay.
Recently, some finance-related ones.
Okay. Right.
So,
okay.
all sorts. Mix it all up.
Sick, dude. Good stuff. All right. So, same as what we did with Clay, I reckon it's a good start with you. So, like a brief history of sort of like Chris Seeger and how you became sort of, I don't know, I guess not how you became involved in Deathgrip, but like how you got to the point of being involved in Deathgrip. Like where did this whole journey start for you?
When I was younger, I used to race. I used to be so into biking and race downhill. So started injuring myself a lot when I was 16.
Right.
I was constantly broken. My mum was not stoked, to say the least. I think in 2 years I broke 8 bones, or
Wow.
2.5 years, which is pretty good going.
It is.
So I was often homebound and I still had all these mountain bike friends. So the best way for me to go and see them was hang out with them. And then eventually I just picked up a camera and started filming and taking pictures of them.
Right.
And then I've lived near Brendan and Bernard Kern, Sam Reynolds. And I knew Bernard when I was 15, 16. And he asked if I wanted to come film him at the races. I was still complete media squid and went along and had an amazing time with Bernard.
Right. Okay.
Bernard bought this caravan for £200, which he put on the back of his Transit. And I'm not sure how many people were in the Transit at the time, but
An illegal amount.
8 to 10 people.
Right.
Some were in the caravan, who knows, for £200. We were worried he's going to stay on. But it made it through the BDSs, went to some World Cups with Bernard.
Right.
And just had an amazing time, and through that time just kept on filming. And then it kind of evolved from there. Then people wanted me to do other things, and I thought, yeah, it's not too bad. I can actually still hang out with all my mountain bike friends and get paid to be here rather than breaking my bike. And I was okay at biking, but I'd get an average result. I wasn't going anywhere like Brendan or Bernard or anyone. So straight away, I was quite a realist and knew filming is probably going to work out better.
Got you. Okay. So, like at that time, are you going through school as well? So,
Yep.
were you doing? Did you go to college or uni or anything like that?
I went to college and uni.
Wow.
And during college, again, I broke my leg twice, so didn't really go that much in the first year.
Right.
And you always start with academic subjects. So I think I had economics, history, media still, and German. My mum's German, so that one's quite an easy one. And at the end of my first year, I barely went to any lessons because I was pretty much injured the whole time. So
fair enough.
Dropped economics, dropped history, and did media and German.
Right, picked up a camera.
But yeah, and then stuck to the camera.
Sweet. All right, so you started off doing a lot of BDS stuff and a little bit of World Cups, and then when was like a bit of a turning point for you where this became like more of a career?
I guess at uni I did film, which was definitely not the best course, if I'm honest, but it did give me 3 years of no hassle from my parents to do my own thing. So in that time I found more clients for biking, went on more trips, basically missed uni, but I was filming and working the whole time. So I saw it as beneficial.
Yeah.
And that evolved from, I think I had some big projects of Monster Energy, doing stuff with Sam Reynolds and Sam Pilgrim.
Right.
So we did Sam's World to start with while I was at uni, and then also the last of uni started filming the Enduro World Series.
Okay.
So that was 2 gigs where it started to become more apparent I could actually make this work after uni, and it's not a complete, not waste of time, but I could definitely make it work.
That's cool. I mean, so how did that kind of happen? Obviously, being at the races, getting to know people, but is that for sort of like people out there who are listening who might be getting into filming? Is it about just being a nice guy? obviously you've got to have decent work, but is that kind of what bridged you into the more serious stuff?
Yeah, I think through film, I'd always say to people, first of all, if you want to film sports, I think it helps a ton if you're into them.
Yeah.
Because if someone goes, I've taken all from shoots I've been on for people who don't film bikes, they have no idea where the rider's going sometimes, no idea how high they're going, stand in the most horrendous and dangerous places.
Yeah.
Where you think, if you have a little bit of biking knowledge, you know where in a turn to stand, or if there's an inside line, don't stand there.
Got you. Okay. Yeah, that kind of makes sense. Like you say, there's probably people who go out and do this stuff who don't, like you said, don't even know what direction the bike's coming in. They're coming up or downhill.
Yeah. And I guess just being nice to everyone does work out for you, because if you're good friends with everyone, especially on all these trips you have to go on, if you have to hang out with someone for 2 weeks, it helps if you get on great, because then it doesn't feel like work and you guys are just having a good time.
Got you. Yeah, of course, man. So you were doing a lot of stuff on your own at this time, and then Aspect Media came around a little bit, more recently. Is that right?
Yeah, I guess it was quite a few years ago, because Jacob Gibbons, the other half of Aspect Media, he used to do photos back in the day.
Got you. Okay.
And he never went to uni or anything. He got straight into bike photography. And he, to be fair, did teach me a lot about charging and getting the right clients. Yeah. So that was mega useful, because we are a year apart, but he'd not gone to uni and just started teaching me about charging rates, all these things. Because when you think to yourself, am I worth this a day? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But then Jacob said, I was worth this a day. So yeah, he helped me a lot at the start. And from there, it just grew. I did the videos initially and he did the photos and shoots. Right. But now we do loads more videos together, which is great.
Oh, right. So he's transitioned a bit more into filming as well.
Yeah, he's definitely transitioned a ton, because most of the shoots I go and we both film now. But having the more filmers, really, if the client wants to pay for it, it's better. You can do it in shorter days, get better footage, get different angles. Because sometimes if riders are doing big tricks or scary stuff, they don't want to do it 5 times for you to change angles. So if there's 2-3 of you, it works out a lot better.
Of course. Sweet. Sounds good. And for people listening as well, who like before Deathgrip, what's some of your most proudest work that you've done?
Back in the day, I used to enjoy Sam's World was actually good fun. Some of the monster projects we did. I think all the projects I've enjoyed most have been the ones where I've had most fun. And I've always got on really well with Reynolds and Pilgrim. And those trips we went to South Africa and California were absolutely amazing.
Cool. Yeah, you had that bus, right, Pilgrim? Is it Banger's bus?
Yeah, we did the Bangers bus as well. Some questionable naming there. And that was one hell of a trip. We went on the Bangers bus. We went around Europe and pretty much went to amazing dirt jump spots and started filming these webisodes. Yeah. But awesome. The Bangers bus was quite something. So the Bangers tour in America and California was on another level of naughtiness.
Really?
I'm not sure how we got away with so much. From paintball guns out windows to water balloons into supermarkets.
Wow. All right, maybe we should save that one for another episode. We'll get you back on here and we'll sit and chat that through.
And one quick one, they tried to go to the drive-through in the RV through Taco Bell.
Right.
And funnily enough, the RV was massive and too big. And they ripped off all the refrigerating and solar panels at the top, so every time it rained, it would come straight in the RV. But anyway, that's enough of that.
Cool, mate. All right, so Deathgrip, which I guess is what we're here to talk about. So how did you initially get involved with Deathgrip? Deathgrip. Have you worked with Clay before?
I did actually work with Clay before on a shoot in Japan, because I've always been, I don't know, I'm not sure when I've actually first met Clay, but he was just, obviously I looked up to him big time because he was just mega good filmer from America and always made insane videos. And I guess my style of filming as well, so I could relate to it. But he then, through Brendan, we started chatting a bit, and then he asked me to come on a shoot to Tokyo, with Stevie Smith, which was all time. Right. And after that, we actually all went to, before we all went to Ibiza.
Yes.
Brendan, Clay, Bean, Christian, Brendan's brother, and Ben Baker.
Right.
And they mentioned filming Deathgrip then, but after 3 days of the biggest hangover I've ever had, somehow something got sorted, and a few months later we started filming Deathgrip.
Right, wow.
So not sure if it's good advice go to Ibiza or not. But
Yeah, I'm gonna say usually some bad decisions come out of that place, but you came out with a pretty good one. That's
came
cool.
out all right. Yeah. Not sure we discussed too much, but the idea was vaguely thrown out.
All right, so tell me about Deathgrip then, dude. And like, it's massive that it's on Netflix. What's the overall response been from you and all that sort of stuff?
Yeah, even to start with, back to Clay, he asked me to help film, but even then I thought, because I lived near Bren, he wanted an interview or something, he wanted a few shots of Bren riding as local. Yeah. And then Clay was on a shoot in South Africa and said, why don't we film the first section here, if I wanted to come along. So over the moon, that I was flying to South Africa with Bren, and that's when we filmed the first section of Deathgrip we didn't have any idea of budget or anything. Clay was just there.
Really?
Paid for my flight, and we knew eventually sponsors would come on.
Right.
So it was kind of a huge passion project for all of us, which I think was important because it's kind of Clay's ideal film and my ideal film. So none of the sponsors dictated anything, which is, I'd say, quite rare these days. We just completely went for it, and along the way it just evolved and evolved, and now.
It's crazy that you've just said that, like, about a passion project, because that's exactly what, I mean, you've not heard what Clay said, which is cool. No. So that's exactly what he was saying. You know, everyone that was on the shoot are all kind of, around the sort of similar age, similar sort of mindset of just doing this for mountain biking and because you want to do it and be creative. And like you say, you didn't let sponsors get in the way, which is really cool because, if you're not necessarily in the industry or know you guys, it might come across totally the opposite, that's crazy.
Yeah, but I can't believe how far it did evolve, because at the start of us, from Deathgrip I got paid 3 weeks ago. We finally worked it all out, so It's that long ago. But to start with, I was basically doing it for free just because I liked hanging out with Clay and Bren so much and all the others.
That's crazy. Good on you, man. That's good on you. But like you say, I think Clay literally said exactly the same stuff, that there was no real budget in place. It was like, it's going to do well, and at the end of it, we'll sort of divvy everything up, which is real cool. Real cool. So, were you on every single shoot?
Every single shoot, but North California with R-Dog and KJ.
Right.
Because I had knee surgery.
Dude.
And I know. I keep injuring myself. Knee's still not much better now, but that's a different story. But I had, my first knee surgery then, and wasn't ready to go to California. And otherwise on every other shoot. But I didn't make much of London as well, which is funny. I had an Enduro, despite being half an hour from my house, all those trails, Wisley, and all those. So I only made a little bit of London one day with Ollie Wilkins, so some of the intro stuff with Ollie. I shot with Robbie Mead.
Got you.
But otherwise, North California completely missed, and tiny bits of London. And Clay did all of them but Schladming, so I went to that one.
Yeah. Okay. And for you then, as an outsider maybe, and watching the film, what's your favourite section?
Actually, I quite like the sections I'm not even there, like North Carolina, because I was not there. I didn't have any idea how it went, and then saw the boys absolutely kill it when all that footage came back and all the insane cable cams. But for me, definitely, I think Madeira is such a special place, and we loved it that much. We did 2 sections effectively.
Okay, yeah.
Because originally I think it was meant to be 1, and then we had so much footage, and we thought we are never getting into 1 section.
Right. One thing I was saying to Clay as well, like the other day, is that it's pretty cool how the riders' riding style and personality comes across in every section. Like the music fits really well. I think the whole package of it for every section just like works. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Now, that's the thing people don't realize about music is such a hard one to pick. First of all, because you can't use whatever you want. That's the biggest challenge.
Yeah.
So you need to message record labels and try and get artists and try and get the songs off these various artists.
Do you have an involvement in that as well then?
Yep, quite a lot as well. Because Clay and I basically had a Deathgrip playlist on iTunes and put all these songs in. Sometimes they're a bit unrealistic. I mean, Whitney Houston started appearing, and I thought, not sure that one's going to be cheap. But then there were some realistic songs,
Okay.
and some of the labels never even replied. So you're too small fish for them.
That's crazy.
Unless you're doing a big advert, but they never replied. And then some of the record labels, they were really helpful people working there. So one was Red Light, who was Odessa, who we used a few songs for.
Yeah, okay.
Those guys made it mega easy for us to license music, and the same for Hospital Records, the UK drum and bass ones.
Right. Yeah, there's a fair amount of drum and bass on it, isn't there?
I think being UK, we're all into our drum and bass. So,
and especially with the idea came in Ibiza, it kind of all fits, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. But stuff I listen to, Bren listens to, and the woman Megan at Hospital Records was mega helpful and could clear stuff straight away. So that's why, a lot of drum and bass did end up in the film as well.
Sweet. So, what was your favourite memory of the whole process of doing Deathgrip?
Favourite memory, I think Utah was insane as well, because we had Ty Evans, who's a big time skate filmer, and he brought some serious filming equipment, which I hadn't been on a shoot with before, and it was cool to see everyone so passionate there. Again, all working as a passion project for free to film the best stuff we could.
Awesome. It's exactly what Clay said,
Yeah. And Madeira, for us, again, the crews there and the times we had, and John from Freeride Madeira always looks after us so well. So those also probably joint first, those two.
Cool. And did you use any equipment then that you hadn't used before or anything like that? Was there, like you said, Ty had some crazy stuff, but did you sort of have to up your game as well to make something as sort of big as this?
To be honest, we used the normal cameras we use. Just Ty brought his. We've got mounted to Polaris, his camera, on a very fancy and expensive gimbal, which can zoom in and out with a cinema lens. So he was cruising that buggy around and had a Phantom slow-mo camera. Right.
I think it sounds expensive.
Yeah, but again, Ty really, hooked us up and just came out for fun.
Awesome.
I think Clay was that passionate, and it's helped him out in the past that Ty saw what a project was going to be and came out and helped us all, really.
Yeah, that's cool, man. Real cool. Well, obviously massive congratulations as well to you and the entire team for what you've done, and seeing it on Netflix must be a massive pat on the back, as well as seeing how well it did previously. Has there been anything crazy that's come from Netflix already for you? Is there any doors opening up or anything like that?
Not initially, but I mean, I have this year I'm pretty crazy busy with work anyway, so cool. I guess it's all going well. But the Netflix thing's pretty crazy because
good for the CV,
friends,
right?
Yeah, friends who don't have any idea what I do, and then the film's on Netflix, they realise that's quite big as well.
Yeah, for sure.
There's a lot of so many friends. Let's say my mum's friends is actually a great example. So what do you do whenever I'm home? It's I film bikes. They think I'm a photographer or all these different things. And now I can just tell them there's a film on Netflix. Here's this is what I do. And now a lot more of them have got it.
It's in I can't remember. I think it's 106 million homes.
Yeah.
Jesus.
And worldwide as well, which is absolutely crazy.
It is. It's nuts. So one question I had just to wrap up as well for Clay was what's in store and sort of in the future for action sports and mountain bike filmmaking, do you think?
I think it's cool. It's going kind of in different directions, but both directions being recognised. So we've got all the pan and zoom stuff, 50-1 boys.
Yes.
Loads of riders filming their own stuff, which is wicked on the fly filming. Those boys absolutely kill it. But then there's still, I think Deathgrip proved a need for kind of slightly higher end films as well. So the industry is accepting both of them, so it's cool to get even more content from the mountain bike industries.
Yeah, makes total sense. Yeah, I think there's some cool film projects coming out this year as well. Obviously, we're going to see Gamble at some point. I think that's going to be April-ish. I can't remember what Joe said.
There's a few of those shoots, and it looks absolutely killer. So I cannot wait to see that one.
Sweet.
And they've
Alright.
got Jobo and Mon have definitely got the filming style of pans and zooms and good, high-end stuff as well. So I'm really excited to see that one.
For sure. Me too, man. Looking forward to it. All right. I'm going to ask you to introduce our last guest of this podcast, which is a guy who starred in the film, actually, called Brendan Fairclough. So if it's all right, do a quick intro for Brendan and we'll get him on here.
Of course. Well, the main star of the show, and out of anyone I film with, I think Bren really is one of the hardest workers and gets the end results and really appreciates it. But also, as he's known in Madeira and Ibiza, Pothole Pete, because in Madeira on our first shoot, we all got kicked out of the reggae party because we were dancing too aggressively. And mainly that's Bren, because when he gets a bit too drunk, we call him Pothole Pete because he loves to lunge in front of the speakers.
Oh, really?
So, yeah.
Amazing. All right, let's...
He's also great, pretty stylish at riding a bike, so that helps.
But more well-renowned for his Pothole Pete.
Yeah, stylish in the clubs and on a bike. I mean, started well in Ibiza and went well all the way through Deathgrip.
And on that note, let's welcome Brendan Fairclough. Okay, so next up, we have got, I guess, the star of the film, Brendan Fairclough, a.k.a. Pothole Pete.
Oh, okay. You've been speaking to Ollie.
Adam was on just before you. He's like, Pothole Pete, apparently you're as fluid on the dance floor as you're on a bike.
Yeah, super fluid, yeah. It's like I've got my rebounds gone, blown up.
Amazing. So obviously, dude, kick this off. Massive congratulations to you and the team. You know, I've said that to everybody, but it's awesome to see the film on Netflix. And congratulations, like you've obviously made an iconic mountain bike film.
Yeah. Wow. It's still like pretty cool to hear that. You know, that was, that at the very beginning, it was like me and Clay were drunk in clubs or bars at World Cups, like chatting to each other, thinking of this, and then finally getting it all together and getting the funding and, like 50 flights I did for it, and digging, scouting, filming, getting all the, and you know how hard it is to get an athlete in line. But to get, like all those amazing athletes we had in the film to go film for a week, 2 weeks, wherever we were, was pretty amazing. And yeah, I'm just excited how it turned out.
How long have you been like thinking of doing this film? Can you kind of like pinpoint where you were or anything like that?
No, because like I just said, like me and Clay would be at, like he was obviously filming at World Cups, I was riding at World Cups, and we had great respect for each other, and we'd done some stuff before, and we just sort of both ended up in a good position in our lives where sponsors would trust me, and sponsors would trust him, and we could just go to people and go, look, can you imagine how hard it is to go to someone like Scott or GoPro or any of our big sponsors and go, hey guys, we need X amount of money, and the movie's going to come out in 18 months. So, and these days that's not a thing. These days companies want 10 grand edits that have come out next week.
Really?
Like 3 minutes long, and they want to see where you put the money in. They want
instant,
see a direct, instant thing where it's like, oh, we're doing we're doing a video on this, on that, on this, and they just want it next. That's what people want. You know how it is. People want content all day, every day, and I was getting a bit sick of it because there's some incredible content out there, as you know, and I think we're lucky in the sport of mountain biking where we are ahead of the game. We've got like people doing edits and films coming out all the time, and we are ahead of the game. Like skateboarding the same, but motocross haven't caught up with us. Like surfing haven't caught up with blah blah blah. Well, surfing have, they've got some incredible movies as well. But
I agree with you there. Totally, I totally agree with what you're saying.
We were ahead of the game. Exactly, a lot of passion, a lot of great filmmakers, a lot of great riders, and like you said, a lot of passion. So I was a bit sick of short edits, and how I grew up was watching Sprung videos and Earth videos, and I'd run back from school and chuck them on and just watch them halfway through and then go ride my bike every single day. And I didn't really feel that same love and vibe with some of the movies that have come out in the last, 5 or 6 years, I felt there was a lot about the journey of how they get there, a lot about the personality of the athlete, which is also super cool. But if I'm 14 years old, I'm not super excited to watch that and get out on my bike and rip a turn and go shred my mountain bike.
Fair point.
For sure. Like I wanted to get that love for getting outside and you know what? It's funny. Like the irony of it is that we made a movie to make people not watch movies. You know what I mean? Like we made a movie.
You want people not to watch
kids
it.
are not watching TV. They're outside playing in the dirt and riding their bikes, which is that's funny. I didn't really think of that, but that's what we wanted to do. And we had the skill and the talent of Clay and Seeger and Robbie and John Reynolds and all the cool people that we had there. Unfortunately, through what I've done, I've made some great friends with some of the most talented athletes on the planet on a bike. Yeah. So we thought, let's put 2 and 2 together, and we turned out with that. So yeah.
It's how much sort of thought did you put into riders? Did you have like a hit list? Was there maybe anyone missing off it?
We had a hit list. Yeah, we had a few missing off of that. Right. But stuff turned out so well.
Oh man, yeah.
For example, the Madeira section was supposed to be Josh.
Right.
And then we had other jump. We were supposed to do some stuff at Royal Hills with Sam and Nico. Josh couldn't pull that last minute. He hurt his knee or something. So I was stressing, but it worked out so incredibly well because we had some big jumps in Madeira, and I didn't want to do them by myself. And as good as Josh is, I don't think we would have hyped ourselves up for that. We were both like a bit scared. So to have Sam and Nico out there as well, and Nico was great on the digger as well. We moved some stuff around, just worked perfectly. Yeah. And also having Josh in Schladming was incredible. That guy was on fire at the time. He'd wake up super early in the morning. Let's go film. And I was like, this is cool. This is amazing. And the first couple of runs, I was like, he was at the time top 5 World Cup rider. I was at the time, scraping top 20, top 15 World Cup rider. And this, our first couple of runs, I was like, shit, I'm going to with this guy for the first bloody... You can't with a guy for the first bit, but we had some incredible times. We were doing stuff on mountain bikes. It's not possible to do on mountain bikes. Right. And we just do it over and over, and it was just, it's so rad. Yeah. So yeah, there's definitely people I missed out that I'm not going to tell you who they are or where we're supposed to go because that's happening at some other time, hopefully.
Okay.
On another adventure. Okay. But yeah, there's definitely athletes on there missed out, but the ones we got are some of the most talented, unique, amazing riders. And to answer your question, yes, every section I visualized with a rider, so that's kind of what we best built the sections for riders. So yeah.
I think as well, one thing I spoke to Clay and Seeger about was that it sent to me that every section perfectly summed up the rider's riding ability and the style, personality, the whole package was in every section. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I think some of that was, it's not by chance, Josh's erratic, funny, crazy style at Schladming with no music and all GoPro footage and just hectic. And then you've got Brandon's composed, quiet self in these big open, crazy mountains in Utah that looks like the moon. It's pretty cool. And then to have Ollie and Ralph and those boys shredding dirt jumps, we were so fortunate. Those jumps run 2 months of the year, and those guys have put endless work in. So to be able to ride that, and also the KJ and our dog section, those guys have put so much time into building that stuff. I was so thankful that we managed to we were allowed to ride it, and they let us shred it. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is for sure. So again, just kind of rewinding just a little bit, with the locations again, was there a hit list? This is what I want, and it all sort of just materialized from there. Madeira, you probably wanted the location, but then did you know you wanted to build the track pretty much?
Madeira is always going to be one long downhill track with jumps in it.
Yep.
I had a look around the island. John Fernandez was I was looking around, I wasn't there's so much cool stuff there, but there's some little access problems, blah, blah, blah. So John was hey, there's this like deserted golf course down on the cliff. Do you want to go look at that? And I was like, hell yeah. Walked down there and I was just like, are you kidding me?
Really?
It's like mounds of dirt all down this deserted golf course. Not deserted golf course. They were going to build it and ran out of money, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
I was just like, right, this is like the most picturesque, incredible zone. So that was the jump zone. And then I wanted to build like a bespoke downhill track with whoops in, jumps over roads and step on, step offs and this and the other. So that's where the other one came. And the original idea was to have it so they filmed like we were filming a whole downhill track and it ended on the beach.
Right.
But the two sections were too awesome to put together, so we made it into two sections.
Got you.
We had the jump section and we had the downhill track section.
Okay.
But yeah, it was all pretty built for the rider, you know, most of the time. So yeah.
Out of all of the locations, then, which one for you was the most challenging? Both like with like the travel and the whole thing, and also like risk versus reward.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, to go back, I kind of like went off on a tangent and forgot your question, but
It's all right. I can't remember it either, man. Don't worry.
but back then, like looking back, we were supposed to film in Green River with Brandon. So we were in filming the R Dog and KJ section, and then I was gonna drive to Green River. It's like a 16-hour drive or whatever. And then I was looking through this magazine and I saw this moon shaped, crazy, amazing scenery in this little book. And I was like, where is this, KJ? And he was like, oh, this is XXX. And I was like, right, dude, we're going there. Scrap Green River, we're going there. And it's sort of like, and at the time I had budget and time and motivation just to do it. So I was like, KJ, do you want to come and scout this place for me? So we drove 16 hours the next day, booked a motel.
Nice.
Walked around these mountains for 2 days and just scoped it out. We were like, right, we've got 10 locations we're going to come back and dig. I flew back to London from Vegas, flew back out 2 weeks later with KJ, Adam Billingshurst and Ollie.
Right.
And we spent a week in the shovels just digging all this crazy stuff in the middle of the desert. In preparation for 3 weeks after that, would come back and film with Brandon. So yeah.
Right. So is that? And I understand that that was the part where you didn't use certain part of that creation as well, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that for sure was one of the hardest sections to film for me.
Just out of comfort zone as well, or not?
Scouting, it was tough. Digging, it was horrible. Going back to film it. We had such a big crew, and for me, I tried to avoid a big crew because I don't find it as productive. But you know, we had Ty Evans with us that brought this Cine and his Phantom and his crew, and we had like drone ops everywhere, and we were going to hire helicopters and all this stuff, and I was getting all a bit blown away with it. And we turned up second day, and we got shut down on like 60% of the stuff that I built.
Wow.
So it changed the whole thing around. We had to like put a day aside to build some more stuff because obviously I wanted to build something that Brandon could do crazy stuff off. Shut down on that, and it's hard pushing up there in the sand, in like that deep sand the whole day, every day. Land problems like we've got shut down on that, and super early mornings, like up at 3 or 4 in the morning.
Really?
Going into the zones while it was still dark, pushing up the mountains while it was still dark, ready to drop in at first light. And that takes its toll every day. And then obviously there's a few things in there that I was really out of my comfort zone. You know, like the last clip in the movie is this big like 75-foot step down to be built, and I was sort of hoping that Brandon would come and sort of help me out with it, and he could do the gnarly shit, and I'd be able to sit back. He had a bit of a crash before, and he was kind of like, no, I don't really want to do that one. So I was sort of like, okay,
you better step up.
The best rider in the entire world doesn't want to do this, but we built it. We have the sickest crew around us. I've got to man up, and sort of we scienced out the jump, and the science behind the jump was kind of death grip in and go as fast as you could.
Really?
So, which is good, but at the same time, if as fast as you can go isn't fast enough, then you're pretty screwed.
Yeah.
But anyway, worked out well, and after that, that shot was just insane. I was so happy with that. Scenery, everything about it, that was put in behind that, and I think that's almost one of the last shots we shot of the whole movie as well.
Right.
As that was the last section. So I'd say Utah was definitely the hardest. Madeira, we had to go back 3 times to Madeira for weather reasons and other different reasons. Riders getting injured, blah blah blah. But dude, no regrets, and looking, now it's all done. It seems easy, It's like with anything. Now it's all done. It seems easy, and I'm looking to the next project. But yeah, right now, no more movies for a bit. I'm going to try to get back on that box at the.
Is that the one? Yeah. So obviously, got a World Cup season starting not too far away. I guess it's April, I think, isn't it? I can't even remember. Yeah. So I guess are you in like prep mode for that? Do you think the season will be easier without this stuff on your back?
Absolutely. Like with that stuff, like blah blah blah. Like I've been saying, like scouting, digging, filming. You got to go to every location 3 times. People don't really understand what goes into digging it, filming it, scouting it. It's not just like we're filming it and do it in a day. Like it's all been built specially for it. So I was flying all over the place and trying to train and trying to race World Cups, and I didn't feel like at the time filming was like really that detrimental to the World Cups. But now I'm not doing all that, and I can focus on what I need to focus on. It makes me think. I was on the plane the other day, like flying back from somewhere, and it's like, what were you doing at this time last year? and it was a super funny video of me and Ollie digging in Utah, and we're just getting like. We're getting out of our minds with craziness, just in the middle of the desert being idiots. And I look back and I was thinking, shit, I was literally just shifting dirt for a week on end this time last year, which is like quite weird. And then the end of Feb, beginning of March, we filmed the Seminole section, which is just walking up hills for a week. So, the prep wasn't the best. Yeah, literally just hiking and then dropping into stuff that you don't want to drop into because it's scary.
It's cool that there was like...
I hope in the footage you get, it's going to impress the 14-year-old boys.
It's funny that it's like an ongoing theme through this whole podcast about Netflix and chilling and stuff like that.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
It's nuts, dude. It's in like 106... I think it's 106 million homes.
Yeah, crazy.
Unbelievable.
If we can get to 1% of those, it'd be insane.
Unbelievable, man. You must be stoked, honestly.
Yeah.
Stoked.
It's one of those things that it hasn't properly really hit home, but definitely it's crazy, the amount of people that when we put it first out on iTunes, it was like, I had so many messages, cool messages, blah blah blah. But the response when it came out on Netflix was like almost twice that.
Yeah.
And it's it's a bit annoying. Like people are like, I finally got round to watching Netflix, and it's like, yeah, you cheap bastard. It's because you haven't had to pay for it. Yeah. Which I find weird because I guess I'm just a super fan because when I was a kid, like as soon as the Mountain Bike movie come out, I'm like straight to the shop buying it. Like half the movies I bought were like 20 quid on disc or mini on like CD or on
Yeah, Ollie was talking about actually like pre-ordering. I think it was Sprung he was on about, and having to like write into a magazine and then wait for a VHS to drop. And
but this is what I'm saying about how like people expect free content all the time, and it's not like. And I didn't want to do that. I wanted to create something that you can go back and watch and get hyped on it. But it's harder to do that because people have got access to all these incredible edits all the time.
Yeah.
Which they are incredible and they are rad, but I wanted to try to build something that was on a different level, and I think I've done it. I think we've done a pretty good job, and I'm about it.
For sure, I think it seems to be coming full circle. The whole thing, like people now do want, and what I like as well. I can't remember if I mentioned this to Clay or not, but like, is that when a film like Deathgrip comes out, it seems like the whole industry and everyone who rides like really gets behind it to push it.
Yeah.
And that's rad. Like, that's so cool for mountain biking. I was saying that, like, Netflix, pick up Deathgrip, and the first day it goes on, everyone's Instagram's like, you might have seen it already, like me, but it's like you put in a photo on, like, fucking sat watching Netflix, watching Deathgrip. It's nuts. But that's what I really like about it, man. Like, people really get behind these projects, and that's super cool.
exactly. It's we've got a pretty good scene. I think we've got a pretty good scene. People
Yeah.
are good. They're pretty. I mean, we've got a lot of button pushers in mountain bikes. A lot of guys on the internet pushing buttons and sharing their opinions on pink bike and stuff. But at the same time, we've got some real core, amazing people behind it, and it's a good scene.
I agree with you totally, man.
Really good.
So after the dust has settled on the whole thing, and it must be kind of weird for you because you filmed it, it's gone on iTunes, lots of stuff, and then you're talking about it like again, maybe almost a year down the line. But
yeah, well, when did it come out? It came out on iTunes and early in the 4th of April last year, so almost a year. Yeah,
almost a year to the day. Yeah. So have you got a favourite section? I know that's a really cliche thing, but like after the dust has settled, you maybe watched it again.
Do you know what? I think I've got obviously every section's really emotional for me, and I know what went into every section.
Yeah.
But I think I've got two favourite sections. I've got the dirt jump section in the UK with Ollie Wilkins, and that I think is just so sick. We were so lucky to get those locations when we did, and I love Ollie's intro into it. Love the music
So
in it,
good.
and it worked out, and I love that. And I think that's like I think we've really showed, like, people think of dirt jumping as like slope style and amazing tricks and all this blah blah blah. Whereas actually the scene of dirt jumping is this cruising through dirt jumps with your friends, doing whips, doing cool stuff. And I think we captured that really well. So that's one of my favourite sections. And I'm going to have to say the Schladming with Josh was just an amazing experience and cool section for me.
Yeah.
And I think how that turned out was amazing. Do you know what? And then also South Africa for me. It was the first shoot we did. I didn't actually build any of South Africa. Luckily, had a guy over there that was on a Skype call like every day for 2 weeks.
Right.
Durant, and I was telling him all these crazy ideas. Yeah, dude, I want like every turn, so you only hit it 10 times and it's completely destroyed, and then I want to like jump into this bomb hole and jump out into these crazy whoops. And this guy must have just been like, for fuck's sake, this guy is insane. So we went over there. It was the first shoot for Deathgrip. And I looked at everything he built and I was like, wow, this is insanely cool. And it all went so well, and it just looks amazing and high speed, and it gives that scene of what I wanted, you know, where it's like back to raw mountain biking where there's dust flying everywhere. So I've just given you 3 sections there, sorry.
You like the whole film basically, but one thing that's really cool, right, and because you obviously haven't heard what the other guys have said, and one thing I was really kind of curious to see how this played out, is that every single person's had like the same opinion almost all the way through. You can tell that one of the things me and Clay spoke about was like it was a proper passion project. Everyone's in it for the right reasons, and you know, you said the same thing with like the home section with Ollie, like that perfectly summed up trail riding for me. Like, you know, I grew up riding dirt jumps too, and it's like that was so Sprung-esque and like exactly what dirt jumping's about. It's, you know, for me, not about huge tricks or anything like that. It's just hanging with your buddies and you know, throwing whips basically. But it's cool that everyone's had the same opinion all the way through this. It's real cool. Yeah,
and it's got kind of one of my favourite shots where Ollie it's from the front. The shots are like static on, like the cameras on sticks in the front, and they're just popping through the trails. You know, they disappear, come up. Whoa,
so sick.
That's one of my favourite shots of the movie. And then, being a bit vain, my other favourite shot is where me and Andrew jump out of the bomb hole into the whoops in South Africa, one of the first ones. Yeah. That took a lot of balls to...
Because you guys were talking about that in the car too, like about you going to send it into the 5th whoop like James Stewart or something.
And Andrew was like the whole time like, no, this is way too dangerous. Let's just take the whoops out and build a landing there. And I was like, no way, dude. You just jump to the 3rd. I'll jump to the 4th. He just obviously didn't want to look like a pussy and jumped to the 3rd. So it was horrible though, and you know, he did actually jump to the 4th one, cased it, and snapped both his cranks off, and didn't even know. Yeah.
Wow.
So I don't blame him for doing it again, but Yeah, so Bean Vein, that's one of my other favourite shots. But you know what? There's so many rad ones in there, and everyone's got memories for me. Everyone's got like a cool thing, and I think the section like you asked before, but the section that was the most challenging and hardest, and I've got like not a sour taste in my mouth, but Utah with Brandon was so tough, and I didn't get to ride like 60% of the stuff that I went out there and slaved over.
Yeah.
So I know how good that section could have been, even though a lot of people say that is their favourite section, but I think it's crazy scenery and people that look at that like whoa.
100%. I mean,
that's
a lot of people. The cool thing with this is a lot of I guess a lot of mountain bikers can put this on in the living room, and I had the same sort of thing the other night. So I watched it again on Monday night with my girlfriend, and she, that section came on, and she was like, "What the hell is that? Like, where are they?" I'm like, "Oh, they're on the moon. It's crazy, dude." And she's like,
"And your girlfriend got through the whole thing without getting bored?"
Yeah.
That's a win. That's a win.
Honestly, yeah, crazy. I mean, me personally, I wanted to go ride, but
that,
she was enjoying it. I was like, right, it's 9:30 at night, but I want to go ride my bike somewhere.
Wicked. Some of the coolest comments are like a dude or whoever it is like, yeah, my mum watched it and they managed to watch it all the way through. Or my girlfriend watched it and she didn't get bored the whole way. I'm like, yes, that's a success. And another quite cool thing is there hasn't actually been a standout one section that everyone thinks is the best one.
That's awesome.
Like you talk to 20 different people and everyone there's not like one standout one. So yeah, it's pretty cool. But
awesome. Well, huge congratulations, man. It's amazing what you've done. It's a testament to you and the crew, and it's it's massive for mountain biking. So major props to everybody involved.
Really appreciate that, and it's not just me. It's the whole, like you said, it's the whole crew and everyone involved. And there's more people that we can name that are involved. But I think me and Clay, it was just the dream for so long, and to like have it, to like then get it all in one piece, get the proposal out, get the ball rolling, and then I think it was like you said, you had to have passion because we were just smashing it out and. People were doing filming and helping us out without getting paid until the right at the end. They had to trust in us, and it's paid off. And like I said, I hope we've made something that gets people out there to ride, and we can look back to in 10 years and be proud of it. So that's pretty cool, and I think I will.
Oh, 100%, man, 100%. I guess the final question. I mean, I'm no doubt you've been asked this a gazillion times, but is there possibly going to be a number 2?
Yeah. Definitely this is not the end. Cool. Whether it's another movie or something else in a different format,
podcast.
Or we just do a podcast. Yeah, we just do an hour-long podcast. I could ramble on about some of the podcasts we did. Me, Clay, and Ollie did in the car, driving hours through the back end of America. But it went into some quite deep stuff, some quite crazy stuff. That's for another time, and that's really got to get out there. But definitely, whether it's in a different format, whether it's something else we do for Netflix, whether it's something else we do for whoever, there's definitely not the end, and the passion's still there, the motivation is still there. Like I said, I want to try to get fast on my mountain bike again. That's the priority for me. I'm desperate for podium again. Yeah, it's something I'm proud of, and thanks for all the support from everyone.
Hey, no problem at all. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you and the rest of the crew on here. So, I'll look forward to catching up with you soon. All the best for the coming race season. No doubt you're going to smash it. And that's a wrap, dude. Easy as that.
Thank you very much. Awesome.
Sweet, dude. Appreciated.
No worries.
There you have it, folks. Episode 46 in the bag. Let's do some shout-outs here real quick and leave you with a very important message. First up, Nick from Bike Shreds Bike Shop over in Cardiff. He wanted to give a shout-out actually to Manon Carpenter, who's lent him a bike while his got stolen from a break in the head in the shop, which sucks. We've got @Brogan_trials on Instagram. Just wanted a shout-out for his account, basically. Our friends over at Pedal Addiction, Scott wanted to give his wife Emily a shout out for the support and basically supporting him on his journey of opening a bike shop. Well done, Emily. At the Aberdare MTB wanted a quick oi oi, so there you go. And last but not least, I wanted to do a massive shout out to my local riding organisation, Ride Sheffield. Now, these guys do an awesome job of looking after and protecting the riding areas in Sheffield, most importantly our beautiful Peak District. They are currently in the process of fundraising to do some much needed work on Cutgate, which is a loop in the Peak District, which has had horrendous water problems, and they wanted to do some work up there. So the cost for this work is going to be around £70,000, and that does sound like a lot of money, but the reason for that is it's quite a big scale resurfacing operation. Basically, they need to use helicopters to get surface up there, and it's a hell of a job, which you don't want to do with wheelbarrows and shovels. So they need to raise 70k, and these episodes are free, and hopefully you guys are enjoying them. So all I'm going to ask is if you can spare £1 or £2, there's a link right in the very bottom of our bio. Just click that, donate what you can, and feel proud that you've helped keep these amazing trails running and support a worthy cause. That's all I ask. Thank you. And that is a wrap for episode 46. Don't forget, if you have enjoyed the episode, please go to iTunes, leave us a review. Be much appreciated. Tell your friends, share the episode, and don't forget to follow us. It's at The Hook It Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, The Hook It Podcast. We've also got a closed Facebook group, which is cool. So come in, answer one quick question, and come and say hello. It's a cool little group going on in there. And don't forget, enjoy the rest of your weekend, whatever it is. We've got the Howard Street Duel going on in Sheffield, more random stuff, and that's it. Peace out. See you for episode 47. Boom.